Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Thomas. Welcome to Global Strategy and Leadership Webinar 5. We are happily halfway through the semester. So it's good to have you all along tonight and anyone watching the recording as well. Where are we up to? We are up to Module 4, but I fell slightly behind. And if I am behind, I don't like to rush too much. We just want to finish off SWOT and gap analysis in Module 3. We're also going to take the opportunity, as you guys seem to like it, I think it's a good idea to do case practice on the spot. So I'll put up a case that's just covering a slide on the screen. So this is not like what we call the major case in the exam. This will be like one of the 3 or 4 cases that you'll get. We'll have some MCQs to answer. And even though they're short, they're still going to be really, really challenging, especially on time. Mid-semester test opens on Friday the 2nd, closes on Monday the 12th. All right, so please don't forget that. 15 MCQs, modules 1 to 4, and a clarified question before we started the webinar. Yes, it will cover all of module 4, but I can give you a clue now. I think the furthest it will go will be about entry to new markets, all right, which is a good question to have, and it's a big chunk of work in module 4. Don't forget, you don't have to do it on the 2nd. A lot of people will sit this weekend, and people can sit the following weekend. That's why it's open for the 10 days. All right, just don't not sit it. Take the opportunity to find out where you're up to. All righty, I'm just going to jump ahead because I want to do qualitative analysis at the end of module 3. And I'm glad for Robin's point that module 3 is easier than 2. And it probably is. There's probably a bit less in it. I think it's an equal weighting, significant weighting in terms of the exam. But things like strategic capabilities are pretty straightforward. There's 4 tests. BCG matrix, very straightforward on how to do. Strategic drivers, straightforward, but it's important to understand the differences and understand that one about competitive advantage. It's not just for GSL, but for in your career. If you want to go and do your own business, if you end up in a business where you want to go places, you're going to have to be strategic. You've got to understand the concept of competitive advantage and how you go about getting it. Having a strategic capability is one thing in your arsenal to give your organization a competitive advantage. If you want to make it a personal link, it's no different to your competitive advantage over another candidate for your next job that you're going for. All right? Is your competitive advantage your soft skills on top of your technical accounting? Is your competitive advantage the fact that you understand the basics of strategy mapping, and then you understand that you've got to look at the external environment and before you even bother thinking about the internal environment in terms of assessing a strategic option that's on the table? So, gaps, we will finish off. No, I don't want that one. Let's do it on the screen. A, B, C, or D. Which of the following is an internal business strategy gap? Okay, which one of them? All right, good. Mainly D's and a few B's. So assessing the organisation's current capabilities against what is required to deliver the strategy. So assessing weaknesses, it's part of SWOT, but not the strategy gaps as part of the gap analysis. What the organisation does well, it's not a gap, it's sort of part of SWOT. And benchmarking is sort of the middle one. All right. So great effort there. you know SWOT. You've done it in SMA. You've heard about it. It's one of those concepts. It's not even really. It's not a strategy concept. It's just an analysis type concept that's been around for many, many decades, and just about everybody's heard of it. People love to say it in meetings. Let's do a SWOT. Let us concentrate on understanding the differences between the two, because there is some overlap, and it's an area even back when we were looking after the MIOL forums as the expert responders that we used to get this question a lot. So SWOT has more of an internal focus, especially on the strengths and weaknesses, and some external focus on threats and opportunities. The gap analysis is applied at the business level. It's trying to resolve inconsistencies between what the strategy is and the environment that you're in. All right? It's taking a broader view, and it's taking a slightly more complex view. The problem with SWOT is that you want to reveal where your opportunities are relative to your strategy, relative to your strengths, relative to your weaknesses, even relative to what your strategy is now. And SWOT tends to be a little bit too internal. It says, I'm good at this and this and this. And you're like, okay, but is the competition good at that? Is the market that you're in growing, that's hopefully growing, is that giving you opportunities to exploit what you're good at? Or no good, you need to find new capabilities. If I'm good at something, am I better than others? Can I use that to create an opportunity? All right. So the difference between extended SWOT and gap analysis is very little, because extended SWOT came out of the shortcomings of SWOT, pretty much. So in extended SWOT, what you're doing here is utilizing these ones. So yeah, here is your clear SWOT this way. It's just the way, one way of mapping it out. And then underneath this, you say, okay, I've got opportunities. There are opportunities out in the market. Do they match to my strengths? What would that be? Are there opportunities in the market that could harm me in terms of my weaknesses? Or other people could take those opportunities, and the same as threats, right? That's the idea. I try to apply it to us as an example. So in terms of, and look, it's a slide you can look at later. We've got strengths around high-performing multidisciplinary teams, lean mentality and application. Our weaknesses, basic IT systems, limited cash for advertising. We do have opportunities of further expansion into Asia, perhaps, or we could take this program and do the US CPA, for instance, which will be a lot more exam sits than the Australasian one, right? But if we're good at being lean and having unique learning methods and efficient operations, and there's opportunities in other markets, well, can we teach other ones? Can we, is the market of professional development there? Can we develop professional development that's we can run at a lower cost than other people, and therefore offer it at a lower price? Do we want to try and develop a stronger Asian presence? Right? It doesn't always work as well. Like if we look at opportunities and weaknesses and go, oh, how is there going to be a link between the two? What I'm trying to draw out of here is that, okay, there is a weakness about IT. There is an opportunity to go to Asia. So we're going to need to consider, how do we get capital injection to upgrade the systems if we were to I don't know, also set up an office over there, perhaps be able to have instant translation or something on the webinar as it runs. I don't know, whatever it is. How are we going to get the money to do advertising if we were going to go to the US? All right, so hopefully it gives you an idea. You can look at the slide about, I just made an attempt myself and used our company as an example to do the extended SWOT, which is not exactly the same, but it's similar to gap analysis. All right, gap analysis study guide splits it up: external environment versus the business strategy, and the idea of internal environment. And what it's just asking you to do is always have strategy in your head. This is what this business is doing. This is how they're going about trying to make money, to be bigger, to be better, to get more market share, whatever it is. Does that match up with what's happening in the PESTLE environment? If the strategy, especially if it's a new option and it's about going down a particular path, but PESTLE is saying, well, no, the government's about to restrict all this, So we can do an example of Slater and Gordon. So they had a business strategy of acquisition. Let's go to the UK. I can't remember the name of the company, the legal firm we're going to buy, who were sort of known as ambulance chasers. But at the same time, it didn't match the external environment because the UK government had been talking about it for bloody yonks, and we're finally getting around to it in putting through legislation to stop this type of ambulance chasing legal activity that was going on. All right. If you don't understand that part, we'll do it in the Q&A at the end. But it's a pestle gap to what their strategy was. Then there are the internal gaps. Are there drivers internally that are weak, but your strategy is to exploit, these new markets, but you don't have any access to those markets now? It's to have a certain type of competitive advantage that your internal drivers show, well, you could, but you don't have it at the moment. Okay. The performance gaps is more around your performance indicators, your performance measures. Capability gaps should be pretty clear. If you're trying to go, if your strategy is to go after certain options that require capabilities that you just don't have, and there doesn't seem to be a plan to get them, then potentially you're going to have an issue there. All right. And again, you can do it in the table. I don't know. Yeah. I can't imagine in the major question in the exam they're going to have time to push you too hard on your little, what do you call it, your little whiteboard pad. But it may ask you to at least show evidence that you understand the difference between an industry environment gap and a competitor gap, or industry environment remote. So they'll always test. Do people understand that this one is about pestle, this one is about five forces? And it's funny, I'd say it over and over in the webinars, but people do seem to forget. Remote environment, pestle, industry environment. Is the industry profitable? Should I remain in this industry? Am I going to get my butt kicked by substitute products or new entrants, or the suppliers are just getting too powerful, my profitability is going to go down? You're trying to compare each time the strategy of the company you're looking at to external factors and internal factors. And in that sense, this is miles better than a basic SWOT. In terms of a strategy gap analysis, extended SWOT's okay. I actually reckon you just do a gap analysis. It's more powerful, there's more detail. All right, let's jump back and have a go. Sorry, I just got to return, find the slide. Right, so I'm going to clear the chat and write to any latecomers. Shouldn't be now. We're going to read this case, and I'm not going to give you long. It's 8:45, so I will give you 8:46. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to read the case, make some notes, or answer some MCQs. Here we go. All right, how did we go? Read the case. Just 3 MCQs, won't be that hard. It's about pulling information out of a case. Very depressing market. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. All right. Now, what I can't do is, yeah, I can't. You can't have the case up and the quiz up, unfortunately. Yeah, sorry, it's small to read, but uh, that's about the amount of information you might get in one of the. Ah, clever. Use the snippet. All right. Snipping tool. Yes, very useful tool, isn't it? All right, go for it. All right. Everyone went with D because they're smart. Increasing buyer power and the entry of integrated logistics services who can backwards integrate in the global logistics industry. All right. First one's just not enough information. Excess capacity in passenger planes and increasing demand for shipping by air needs to be decreasing. All right. Let's do the next one. Good effort. Another 15 seconds. All right. Thank you. Bit of a mix here. So most popular response is Number one, integrated logistics companies increase their supplier power over e-commerce companies. And then 2, then 3, then 4. So, B was the answer. So, I'm trying to think why you'd select A. Perhaps you're talking about e-commerce. Maybe that was throwing people, but yeah, it's unlikely. Now, not too many people chose C. Aircraft manufacturers continue to enjoy strong demand for passenger aircraft, but not for cargo planes. All right, but they're the suppliers, they're not the industry competitors. And that last one, there's no mention of customer loyalty in their case. Yes, their value propositions are no longer as attractive, but it's other competitive forces that are hurting them. All right, and that's why it's B. And it's also B because, yeah, they do not have the ability, as 21% of you selected, to change the scope of the nature of their operations. They are so stuck, aren't they? Not so much stuck in the middle and porters, just completely stuck. That's what they do, and demand drops. People go to shipping. It's cheaper. Their rates have to drop. Suddenly, they're running unprofitable, and it's just not going to work for them. All right, let's do the. There's one more. Which of the following is most likely correct about Lufthansa in the industry? Just another 20 seconds. Sorry. All right. Most popular the air freight product line is a dog. All right, it's a question mark. Oops, sorry about that. Their business strategy can be saved by moving to differentiation. Increasing cargo hold space in the passenger flights is their key strength. Number one. All right, definitely not a question mark. Yeah, business strategy being moved to differentiation. It's kind of related to the question before as well, isn't it? That we say, well, this is what they do. What on earth are they going to do to differentiate? Are they going to, they're air cargo, they're not FedEx going to the door, going in the truck, going to the person's house. So are they able to move forwards? Where is this info? Well, this info, okay, when you read a case, the answer is not 3 or 4 lines that are in the case. All right, you can use case information to support something, but if you're looking for the answer to be directly quoted in the case, not always going to happen. Sometimes there's similar wording, but often this is about interpretation. All right, analysis in order to come to a conclusion about something, to test the options that are in a question. So yeah, question 1 with this one was pretty straightforward. Question 2 and question 3 are a little bit more challenging, and I gave you a little bit less time than what you get in the exam, because otherwise we can't get through the webinar either. And the other thing I wanted to point out is that you can get a question that's talking about a particular concept in the first 2, and then is talking about different concepts or general commentary in the other 2. Right? It doesn't. Do not expect the question to be, oh, it's a dog, it's a question mark, it's a cash cow, it's a star. If you get that, then you're really lucky that year. Okay, and I do get students coming back saying, oh, they were really hard because they had different concepts in the question options. Well, of course they can. They should have, to be honest. All right. Saying that, the majority of you got the answer right. So really, really well done. It means that the practice works, that you're able to read a short bit of case information in limited time. So that's really important. How you highlight it in terms of on the day in your exam, I'm afraid, is whichever way you can't highlight it, whichever way they give you, whichever way they give you that little whiteboard and what you're going to write on it. Right. Let's just talk a little bit more about it, because it does link back well to module 2. So in terms of competitors, you've got fully integrated from start to end like Amazon, and then you've got no integration in the sense of just sticking in one chain of the segment one segment of the industry chain, like the airline, and then you've got this sort of hybrid, which is the biggest. This is the biggest segment in a way, isn't it? Now, is DHL, FedEx, these logistics companies that have got a plane, a van, a truck. But traditionally, it was just working with these guys, and then they went to these guys, in a sense, to a warehouse to then be delivered to the customer. How do you classify the product of the industry? The physical volume of goods has grown, but revenues have declined by 17 billion. So freight as a percentage of airline revenues has declined from 12 to 9%. Right? Lufthansa cargo is losing money. LATAM Air is down. British Airways gave up and exited the market. They're integrating to Australia Post is integrating with Star Trek, Ravi says. Fair enough. And the question before that, are these practice questions similar to what we should expect in the exams? Potentially, yes. Yeah. You should not expect questions in the exam that don't require a level of application. Okay, so please don't think, and there's no way, I'll be really disappointed if you guys come back and say that CPA was just every single time it's a find question. Just find a line in the case and that's the answer. Then that's not testing anybody, and it means a high distinction is not worth the paper it's written on, because strategy is about the application of concepts. So the market share of cargo freight is just over 33%. Volume of goods has grown, but the revenues have dropped. Freight as a percentage of airline revenues is declining because people are going elsewhere. You've got this idea of Amazon, a threat of a new entrant will hurt industry profits. Will they hurt FedEx and DHL as well? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced at the start. Will Amazon have drones dropping pizzas to our doorstep? Maybe. We'll have drones dropping the clothes that we've bought. Maybe at some stage. If they become fully integrated, then they'll cut into revenues. At the moment, you've got the substitute product in the sense of we're talking about the air cargo industry. So sea freight is a substitute. A dramatic fall in sea freight rates of more than 75%. Right? Overcapacity. Are people willing to switch and go, yeah, I'll wait longer for my product because sea is not as fast as air. All right. And then there's an article there just to sort of make the point that the threat of substitutes is only going to get stronger. So there isn't even the cargo to fill in all of these vessels. Therefore, again, what's left, prices could come down further. The solution there, demolish the ships, but you know these tankers are getting bigger and bigger as well. All right, but the Hanjin shipping company in South Korea has gone down. Some of that might be picked up by air freight. I don't honestly know. All right. The ability to integrate in this industry is a real problem for the players in the air cargo players. The suppliers, well, geez, I don't know. Airbus and Boeing seem to always be under pressure because they put so much money into innovation and then don't deliver in time on their liners and other things. They've had weak sales of cargo planes. They're re-examining how many of these things do we want to make. Airbus put on hold to launch a freighter version of the A380 Super Jumbo. Right? So normally you think that would come through. 747s came out decades ago and 747 cargo planes came out, but not so anymore. So this industry is really in trouble. Right? So rivalry has to remain high because we're at the stage of the industry life cycle where it's shakeout and or it's decline, and companies either get acquired or they nick off. Or like British Airways, they go, I'm focusing on passengers. We're out of air freight. We're not even going to attempt it. And they're basically saying we'll let Amazon, who own their own aeroplane, they own their own fleet of aircraft already, but you know, more established, DHL, FedEx, those guys, they've owned them for decades. We're going to let them take more of the market share and focus on passengers. All right. We could do a SWOT, but to be honest, let's not, due to time. Yeah, that's a good point, Ben. So you can get an element of pestle coming in later on, and this does happen where these types of industries decline so quickly that people either fall away or there's mergers, and you're left up with a duopoly, a monopoly. And then what do you do? Because obviously then they can try and squeeze out as much profit as possible, and they'll do that by raising prices generally rather than being efficient, because that's what happens in duopolies and monopolies. Operational efficiency is not as important as the ability to have market power, because they are the supplier to the retail customer and we're the end consumer. So we pay as well by having to pay more for the product. So there's a little bit on SWOT here, but I'm not going to worry about it for today. All right, you've already done a SWOT and you've looked at you looked at escape route, didn't you? We did that last week. All right, let's move into module 4. You can do this one, just A, B, C, D. Company that uses an existing product to enter a new market is classified in which of the following of ANSOF's categories? AC, 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 AC. I want someone to put D in. AC, DC. Existing product to a new market. So don't think A. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me, because ANSOF is so straightforward. All right. Now that I think the people answering A have not read that part of the theory, and they're seeing this word new market. Oh, penetrating a new market. No, that's existing market. All right. Can't be diversification because it's an existing product. So this first thing talks about strategic options using ANSOF. And it shouldn't have the word identify because it's classify. I have to check that. If it says identify in the study guide, that's wrong. It should say classify, and I've got that word wrong. Because you can't use ANSOF to pick an option. Please remember that. It's just a classification technique. It's an analysis technique from an academic to say, I looked at all these different strategies, strategic options, and I reckon you can put them in one of these 4 categories. There's a video there about how Coke 200ml can go in more than one category. But really quickly, market penetration. Your product you got now, your market you got now, you want to squeeze more out of the people. You might target new customers. You might find new uses for the product. You might try and increase the frequency of the use. You might increase the size of the product. You could change the packaging of the product if it wasn't innovative. If there was a significant change in packaging, it's more likely it would be product development. That is a borderline one. Don't get caught up on it though. There's a tool for classifying. Yes, okay, I need to change my word. Identify, no, I prefer the word classify, because identify makes out that you could use it to decide. It's definitely not determined to decide your strategic option, which is you just can't. An example that will be known only by the Australians, Buy Land for Australia Day, using an event, trying to get market penetration with what we'll call a C-grade celeb with some funny ads, being patriotic. It's actually just trying to get more people to buy lamb that already do. Coke was marketing Coke for breakfast, blimey. No, hopefully I'm not old enough, or I don't remember that. But wow. Well, Coke originally was a health product, wasn't it? It was there to settle your stomach, and it still does. Product development. You modify, develop new products to sell to your existing customers. You release new flavors. You do new packaging depending what it is. Just a 500ml to a 700ml is not new packaging to me. It's just a bigger bottle. You add features that improve customer experience, or you develop a completely new product. Potential example, 4K. I don't even know what it means. Ultra HD, that is just stupid. What'll be next? What word can you use instead of ultra to go one high? They're going to run out of space. It's 1080 times 4. There's 5K, super ultra. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, blimey, you should be marketing you lot. You're accountants. Stupendous HD. That's what I want to see. Maybe this one. So Cobram Estate makes some really nice olive oil, and I also buy, because I'm lazy, and I probably shouldn't because it's probably destroying the atmosphere, Cobram Estate spray. It's quick and easy to use. You don't use nearly as much oil. It is, to me, product development, because it's just always been oil in a container, and here's pressurized oil spray. Can be argued to still be penetration. Doesn't really matter. Market development. Take an existing product to new markets. Go after a new geographical location. Go after a new customer segment. Be Macca's, go to China. Diversification should be straightforward. Again, both things are happening. New product, new markets. We have a video in there. Watch it, because lots of people, it's only 2 small areas they get confused on, or they're not sure about related and unrelated diversification, or in terms of counter-cyclical. Is better. Counter-cyclical and counter-seasonal diversification, right? So have a look at that. Is buying coffins from Costco diversification? No. There's more products to people. Is vitamin water, which is owned by Coke, diversification? Yeah, could be. New product. Still very sugary. Are they going after a different segment? Were they targeting vitamin water to people that would normally drink Coke? And I'd say probably not, but that's because I know the nutrient water guys who beat them anyway. And again, they were targeting people to drink water, right? And tricking them that you could drink water with 22% sugar and it was okay. So do not get caught up on about this. If you get something in the exam, it'll be very, very clear. It won't be ambiguous. All right, or you won't get anything. Most out of the 5-6 semesters I've been teaching this, people would email me after the exam saying there was nothing on ANSOF. There was nothing on ANSOF. Not every semester, but a number of them. So they're waiting for it, and it doesn't happen because it's too simple and straightforward. Is Coke Life product development, or is it market penetration? Now this one, we get asked about this a bit, so quickly, it's figure 4.7, I think that's up to date. Categories of innovation associated cash flow. And the reason it's a bit confusing, they don't quite explain it. So you've got a graph within a graph. So you've got opportunity, small, large, and you've got investment, small, large, with a not straight line there. And within here, you've got the idea, if it's large investment, small opportunity, is it a mandatory project that you had to do anyway? If it's a large investment and a large opportunity, you're going after breakthrough innovation, right? These little graphs within here, I believe what they're saying is the bottom x-axis is again time, and the line that's moving is expected cash flow. So what it's saying is, if the horizontal line is the average cash flow of what you're spending, at the start of breakthrough innovation, you are down on cash flow. So this is your net cash flow point. You are spending a lot of money. Spend, spend, spend. As time goes, you hopefully get your breakthrough innovation, develop it, and it starts paying off up there. All right? Incremental innovation, you're not having to spend as much. You're spending less, but you're hoping you're not going to get the same upside as you should do with breakthrough innovation. What products fall in this category? Ravi, have a look at the video. Talks about the company Cochlear as an example. Product development. What is this, and why was it such a failure? Correct. Jim could rhyme. I don't know about that. Nowhere to park it. Yep, definitely. I think there were some safety issues. Don't think they understood how much of a market there was. Was not good on the roads. As a substitute, correct, Anthony, and I think it didn't do well on the footpaths where it was too big and dangerous to pedestrians. Nowhere to charge it. Don't know about that. Quite possibly true. Didn't know what consumers needed or wanted. Yeah, maybe not. There wasn't enough of a customer need. Yep. Why it all make it? I have ridden them, and they are pretty cool to ride. They are seriously pretty cool to ride. And there's companies outside Melbourne now that do corporate retreats where they have off-road ones. So they have these giant mini four-wheel drive tires on them. They're hysterical, and you can go across paddocks. They're not much more off-range than that. Police in Darwin use them. Wow, cool. All right, so there's a video on that. It explains it, and it explains it in terms of teaching you that there are success factors for product development. Yeah. Let's go back to Go Gear, a case that you read all the way back in summer school, so you know it. Occasionally pick it up and flick through it again. And we had some questions. Again, let's nail this. Let's embed the learning about the product development part, because it's very clear in the Go Gear. So understanding, what have I got there? Provide 3 reasons why Go Gear could be successful at new product development. These reasons need to relate to success factors of new product development and associated sections in the study guide. Really the success factors. But give me some reasons. All right. New product center is important to have KPI established for growth. Senior management committed. Yeah. So understanding user needs. Yes. Efficiency of development. Yeah, by having a specialized team, R&D team, testing the products out. Support by senior management. Prototyping and testing, well, yeah, obviously there's a problem as well in the case about testing of a particular product. So the strong R&D, yes, but link them back to related success factors. So just be careful with that, Kylie and Ravi. What you're saying is correct, but Don't just say strong R&D if you're answering a written question, because the examiner and the marking sheet will be looking for those success factors, talking about them and why. Yeah, user needs, development efficiency, being in the right markets, designers coming from relevant backgrounds, sports science specializing in biomechanics and exercise physiology, right? So using outside technology, development efficiency, customer needs, and then I've got some supporting points against that. Partnering with sports science institutions and universities, testing small product runs and using the feedback to improve product outcomes, management support and direction with KPIs for NPD and the business plan as picked up by Greg before. Wicked, well done. Right, what was the other question? I'll put up the answer. He wants to expand internationally and launch new products in compression wear. There are some key risks that need to be considered that can often lead to NPD failures. Discuss 2 of the 4 typical reasons for NPD failure. Yes, so performance issues. Inadequate control, product quality. Yeah, I don't think cost overruns will be a longer term failure of it not working. Inadequate planning. Yep. Yeah, good. So performance issues, yes. The capacity to meet demand, the schedule delays, inadequate planning, yes. Good. Really good, guys. Now, where are my made-up answers? Developing the wrong product or service. Not an issue for them. Inadequate planning and control. These guys in China are a huge concern if they can't make the stock, right? Schedule delays, performance issues you guys have picked up, really good. All right. And Tony doesn't embrace the ideas of others. No. It's good. You're jumping straight into module 7 and understanding the aspects of the leadership issues that are going to arise. All right. How are we going for time? Blimey. Quiz 6. Let's just do A, B, C, D. The computer game Halo. I don't know it well, but there's lots of shooting and violence. There's a large amount of non-game related code that is designed to collect data on every aspect of a player's experience inside the game without them even knowing which of the following key success factors program and the Halo design is trying to deliver on. Excellent. Right, you guys like module 4 or something, do you? Or you read ahead, or it's just easier, just, I don't know, more enjoyable? Good old Barista Brothers and their amazing 100% real cocoa chocolate. These are success factors that you need to understand, and to an extent, you already do. This was a quick case. I'm going to go through it super quick because you've actually already shown me that you seem to have got this part nailed down, which is really good. Did Barista Brothers understand the consumer needs? They certainly thought they did. They thought there was an open. And they're owned by Coke. They wanted to go into other product categories. They knew that chocolate milk was one of the fastest growing segments. They ran all their focus as they would do. Did they have the marketing effort behind it? Absolutely. Right? They used Ogilvy, one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world, and they did a whole range of kind of silly ads. Did they have development efficiency? This is Coke. They have enormous pilot plants where you can literally, like, they're mini versions of the full-size manufacturing facility, and you can run anything you want. Huge fun to play in there as a production engineer. Do they leverage use of outside technology in comms? Nah, I couldn't see it, right? So I didn't give you this information in the case. I wanted you to do the pre-work using Go Gear instead. But in this story, the bit of information I had, I couldn't find any evidence of that. Was there support? Yes. Coke have a vice president for innovation and subdivision solely focused on innovation across their different businesses. All right, so they had a VP on innovation. It was set up that way. So how did it go? I mean, Damien's right. Why is Damien right? Because of things like this. It got slammed in social media for poor product quality. That's one of the 2 things. I love this person said, I feel the high rating reviews in this site are fake because you would have to burn off all the existing taste buds to find this drink in any way enjoyable. Ouch. And this stuff can definitely hurt you. Tastes like dirty dishwater mixed with the bitter tang of disappointment. Ow, Julia. Terrible. I created a product review account just so I can warn everybody about how awful it tastes. Oh man, so disgusting. Right, so there you go. Yvonne thinks okay. I haven't had it. Not because I saw these reviews. It's just one of those. It's just a news story that I came across. They also, I don't know when you last had it. I don't know when you last had it, Von. It got removed from the shelf and it got reformulated. So it was not on the shelves probably 2 years ago. Well, these ones are March 26. I reckon it was pulled by mid 2016. It was pulled fairly quickly. It did that badly. The other problem is they had their marketing. So they talked about marketing effort. Yeah, they had the effort, but they were perceived to be disrespectful of South American farmers and society, using this idea of very poor rural farmers as sort of being supporters or part of the brand identity. Actually didn't go down very well. In April 2015, they ceased production. Well, that's interesting. So 2015, they ceased it. I suppose oh man, there's probably UHT milk, so it could last 18 months. Those people are doing reviews in a year later. Maybe they all drank out-of-date ones, but it would. I come from food production. It would actually last quite a while. But geez, well, that's what I got out of AFR. They ceased it in 2016. I could be wrong in that this was talking about the reformulation. Now that'd be scary if they're still saying it's that bad, because I know it came off and I know it came back on. So what do you need as an organisation to succeed at NPD, right? You've got to understand the needs. You're trying to, if you can, find unmet needs, but not everyone's a Steve Jobs, and that's pretty hard to do. There is that catch-22. Your consumer, your customer doesn't always know what they need. Sometimes you have to show it to them, all right? Marketing effort, having the right team, having the money, but being able to execute. Development efficiency is not just having the money and the capital equipment. That's great. You've got to have the processes, the governance, the structure, the project management to keep within timelines and to deliver. If you're going to use existing technology, fantastic. If you're going to use new technology, do you have the capabilities internally? So linking back to this capability analysis, do you need to partner someone? Do you need to do a joint venture, a strategic alliance, probably a joint venture, in order to get their expertise in order to make the product, right? When I did pod, I didn't try and set up my own production line. I partnered in a sense, but not through a joint venture, by using a co-packer to get them to make the product, using their expertise and their capital equipment. Management support, walk the walk and not just talk, commitment and collaboration, okay? What often goes wrong? Because it does go wrong a lot. Wrong product or service, as we said. Bad planning and control, schedule delays, performance product issues, which we have in Go Gear as well. Develop a crap product. Quickly, they've slipped in Blue Ocean. Now it's bang on 9:30. I'll do it real quick. You could get an MCQ. In the past, you never got an MCQ on Blue Ocean, right? But you used to have 16 MCQs. Now you've got 52. I really doubt you're going to get a Blue Ocean question in either the written answers, or you're going to get it on the case questions. Used to be on SMA, yeah, there's a lot more MCQs though. There was 16 MCQs until recently. Now there's a chance as an MCQ one. As an example, here's a circus. You do Blue Ocean strategy using the 4 actions framework. You think about all the attributes of your product or your service. I'm talking about a circus. Price, star performers, animal shows, aisle concessions, multiple show arenas, fun, thrills and danger, unique venue, theme, artistic music and dance. And then you go, all right, what does a large circus do? What does a small circus do? Well, they kind of do the same thing, but the large circus does it on a bigger scale, right? They're more expensive. They have more star performers. They have lines, and the small circus has a jaguar or an angry dog. They all do this idea of aisle concessions and the best seats in the house because they're always trying to get people in. All right? They have multiple show arenas. They pick up their show and they move it around. Now, you have a rating. I haven't put in a rating, a 1 to 5 thing, because you don't know where it's at. You have to decide how you're going to rate that. So you're doing this analysis to then decide about which attributes do you want to change. All right. So along comes, you can already guess, Cirque du Soleil. Right. This is why they use them as such a good example of blue ocean. It's not just we're going to do it better. We are going to look at all these attributes and we're going to fundamentally change them. We're going to use the 4 actions framework. Okay, that's this. We're going to create things. We're going to improve things. We're going to reduce things and eliminate things. And this one's really important. Everyone wants to improve their product. Doing more of a radical change, a blue ocean change, is being able to do this, and especially being able to go, I'm just going to take these attributes out. All right? And that's what they went about. Not in any particular order, but they introduced artistic music and dance, right, as a central theme to how Cirque du Soleil worked. They introduced themes to the shows. It's the circus that went around. It was called Silvers in Melbourne. It's the same circus every year, and it popped up at the same point near Burnley Station in Richmond, and that was Silvers. And that was great. That's what it did. Cirque du Soleil was very, very different. It was about an artistic, full-on production. It had a unique venue. So the venue was not just a circus tent. It had it just had more venue props inside it. It had theatre props, like you could have been at a theatre seeing a stage musical or a play, right? Thrills and danger? No, not as high. They reduced that. These guys would have the guys on the motorbike going around the steel ball and whatnot. They'd have people putting their heads in a line. These guys, no animals. Cirque du Soleil, no animals. No star performers. No Captain Richard, the fire sword-eating man from Uganda. Doesn't exist, right? No aisle concessions. Bang, price right up. No, we are a premium product and you'll pay for it. Right, so this is the idea of the blue ocean strategy, that you create some things, you raise some things, you reduce things, and you actually are willing to eliminate things. Okay, and by doing so, you are in a sense trying to create a new market. You are trying to meet an unmet need. Who knew that we wanted to see a Cirque du Soleil when they came out? It didn't. Okay, they believed that there was a need for artistic music and dance, for theme, for a better unique venue. They believed that they could remove animal shows. There was a need that, yeah, we obviously had, because we went to Silver Circus, but we could go without. That we weren't going to be worried if we missed star performers, that we were willing to pay. All right? Cool. We better wrap it up. It's 9:30. We've got through Blue Ocean, product development, and softs. We've got through the end of module 3. And we've done another example of a case on the spot. The next part is talking about new markets, really. Tell you what, let's finish off on a quiz. Then I'll have to do the quiz next week, and we will talk a little bit about new markets and new market entry, and then really we're into module 5. So, just to keep you awake, a large US supermarket chain. Actually, I'm not going to read all that. You can read it. And then A, B, C, or D, please. And bonus question after is tell me who I'm talking about, which company. Really well done, guys. You're on it. You really come along well, and you're doing these questions pretty quick, and you're thinking about them. And yes, so whoever answered before, it's already disappeared in the chat. It was actually about Walmart. So yes, that is correct. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to quickly go through these. 2 key things to remember about new market development, because it isn't that complicated. Should you do it as a company, and how will you go about it? All right? Should you do it? You've got to understand the size and the value of the target market that you're going after. It's back to module 2, growth, profitability. Is the value proposition right? Look at the competitors. In your competitor analysis, you look at their value proposition, you look at your own. Have you got that right? All right? Are you offering a product that people want to point out and grab off the shelf and actually consume because of a good proposition? Do you have the resources for distribution and service and the capabilities that you need? Right? They are the key broad overarching questions you're asking yourself. And then next week we will discuss, and you'll see it. Make sure you've already covered it. There's a couple of key tables about types of entry into a new market, a lot of it which is about a new geographical market. All right. Thank you very much for coming along. Let's finish up. I can do a little bit of Q&A. I'm not going to go too late tonight. We normally end up talking away until 10 o'clock, which I do enjoy, but I've got to go a bit earlier. Really well done on the case, on the air cargo analysis, on the quiz questions. Yes, question 2 and 3, I didn't expect you all to get the right answer. They were harder questions, all right? But you're doing this practice because you need to, because there will be exam pressure. Maybe you should do case questions first in the exam and go back and do the general knowledge multi-choice at the end, so that if you do fall behind, you don't put yourself under immense pressure when you've got 15 minutes left and you've still got 3 cases to read and answer 3 or 4 questions on each. Okay, that can be hard. Mid-semester test opens Friday, Ben, Friday the 2nd. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll be back in 1 second. We can do any Q&A that you have. Have a great rest of your week. Cheers.